Ciao, welcome back on this channel. Today, video number 3 of the engine block overhaul series. We must discover why there are metal pieces wandering around the engine block. And more than this, why the engine block is seized. Be careful, don't lose the shim above the gear. I suggest you to lay the shim and all the gear in the same order you remove it. It's easy to create a mess when you put it back. The other group of gear is fixed, so you will not create a mess on them. On this you have to be careful. Keep disassembling.
And into the tyre wall.
Flown away. The roller cage bearing. To remove this shaft you will need a 17mm wrench, but since the shaft is not fixed, you need to hold it from the other side. You may use a screwdriver, or like me, in an easy way, you may use a pin punch. Pay attention, the only way to unscrew this shaft is to do in an opposite way. I mean, you have to turn your wrench clockwise in order to unscrew. If you see in this point, there is an opening rounded. Here is the point where you can turn the cruciform. If you see, here you can't do. The only way to extract it is to turn it around this rounded shaped. As you can see, playing a little bit, it will turn of about 90 degrees, then you will be able to extract it from the side. Another shim, other piece of metal around the block. You need to remove all of this. You must understand why these pieces are there, where they come from and why. To remove the wool shaft, you need an extractor. Otherwise, if you don't have it, you may do like me. Old-fashioned style. Hammer.
Hammer time.
A rubber hammer. Not difficult at all.
Nice.
With a 10mm wrench you may now remove the clutch cover. The clutch cover is kept by 3 bolts. Glued with sealant. Here, that is probably fell down, there is a piece of metal, which acts on the clutch. That's it. This is the clutch of the Vespa. This bolt has a safety feature. In order to unscrew it, you have to open this limb. You need to open it just a little bit, just enough to insert the socket, or the wrench you're gonna use it to unscrew it. Easy and slowly. Don't lose the 2 pieces on the back. Okay. You must be very careful when you remove this shaft, because inside there are 21 little rollers, and you need it all 21. Since they're cheap, I suggest always to buy a new kit, but keep it in mind. I removed almost all the gear. There is still only, I guess, the clutch, but the engine shaft is still seized. What's happened? This is a castle nut. Below the castle nut there is a special washer which has many flaps. Few of them may be pressed and prevent the castle nut to unscrew it. Then, to unscrew the clutch, you will need a special socket. Now, my crankshaft is seized, so I may unscrew it without any problem. But usually the clutch turns with all the crankshaft. If you don't have any special tool to hold the clutch, you may use a generic screwdriver inserted on the side of the clutch. Or, jolly solution, impact gun. Don't use too much power in the impact or pneumatic gun. This is the castle nut. Whoa! Minchia! The crankshaft ball bearing. Destroyed. Take the half moon key from the crankshaft. We have another little seizure here. You have this little gear only if your Vespa is equipped with a separate oil mixer. Older Vespa doesn't have it. Watch out for the tiny washer. To remove the crankshaft, we have to heat all the carter. The coefficient of thermal expansion is different between aluminium and steel. On the aluminium is higher, so if we heat the aluminium, it will expand and will release some pressure from the crankshaft. This not only makes the job much easier, but prevent also the wear of the engine block. You don't have to heat only around the crankshaft and the bearing. Try to heat also all the surrounding part. This to prevent too much differential pressure in the aluminium that may create some cracks. If you have an infrared gun around the crankshaft, you should reach 100 degrees to 120 degrees Celsius. Few details how to extract in a good way the crankshaft. You don't have to heat the crankshaft in the threads. Use a socket or something that bring the force of the hammer in the crankshaft, in the part in which you don't have the thread, so you will not damage it. It's really important to don't damage the thread. Second tip, you have to heat the carter. I made many attempts without heating the carter and the crankshaft was not moving at all. After well heating the carter, the crankshaft went out easy. The oil seal in my case was destroyed. Minchia, in the ball bearing, the balls are missing, and in the crankshaft there is a clear sign of a wear and damage. I have to replace it. Plus, I didn't find any ball around the carter. I probably destroyed all of them. Keep removing around all the gaskets, rubber, oil seal and whatever you want. Of course, try to remember where you pick up from, because then you have to replace it or put it back. In the same way, in the same position. Here, in the rear brake pin, you have the oil seal. They may be hid by the grease. Here you have the oil plug. From here you discharge the oil. Remove the gaskets with a knife. You have to remove all silicone, putty, whatever you want. Some people, in addition to the gaskets, use also putty or silicone or other kind of liquid sealant. Of course, when you replace the gaskets, you have to clean and remove all the old sealant. To close this carter have been used a lot of liquid sealant. This is the starter pedal. Remove the spring and remove the gear. You have two small bumpers inside. This, which is not glued, come out easily. Oil charging plug. The electric starter motor, only newer Vespa are equipped with. Removed the 3 nut of the starter engine, you have to lose also the little screw behind the starter motor. You see on the back, this bracket keeps the starter motor on the carter. After this, you may remove the starter motor. Guys, also this part and here. Don't lose the next episode. We'll keep working on Vespa.